welcome to Hancock's VMware Half Hour. And welcome back to another episode of Hancock's VMware Half Hour. Well, if you've been following our latest mini-series on VMware Workstation Pro 17.6, you will see in part 8 that I showed you how to disable Hyper-V on our Windows 11 platform, because if you remember, and just repeating and just going back to that video, one of the things that was actually basically preventing us from installing later in a minute VMware Workstation Pro for Linux 17.6.2 on our Ubuntu virtual machine is that we couldn't pass Intel VT or AMD-V from the host to the guest, because the Hyper-V effectively, in layman's term, had already grabbed that process. So VMware Workstation was unable to pass that through to the virtual machine. So I showed you very simply how to disable the Hyper-V function so that we could pass through Intel VT into our virtual machine. I increased the number of cores and I increased the memory to 16 gig, and then all I've done then is I updated the virtual machine. I updated Ubuntu using sudo apt-get update and sudo apt-get upgrade, and that's all I've done. So there is a Broadcom article that actually basically shows you the links to download the product, and I'm downloading VMware Workstation Pro for Linux. I have seen some comments where some people have got a little bit confused, and they've come back into me and said that they don't appear to be entitled to download it. And when I questioned it and said, did you follow the video, they then basically turned around and said they were trying to download VMware Player. Well, I'm not quite sure really that VMware Player is part of the free entitlement, but I was quite surprised when I asked why did you want to download VMware Player. They came back to me in turn and told me that it was faster. I don't believe it is. Like, at the end of the day, VMware Player and VMware Workstation both use the same underlying process to host a virtual machine. You still need you still need the storage, you still need the networking, you still need the number of cores, and you still need the memory. So I don't really see how Player could be faster. Certainly Player is a smaller package, but I don't really see how Player could perform better than VMware Workstation. Anyway, so download VMware Workstation. So I've downloaded VMware Workstation Pro for Linux 7.2 in our browser. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a terminal session, and the first thing that we need to do really is we need to add some packages to our installation that are going to be required by VMware Workstation Pro 17.6.2 for Linux. But one of the things that I can do, and I'm going to do, is I'm going to create a snapshot before VMware Workstation Pro, and I'm going to create a snapshot because I can, because we're using a virtual machine, so therefore I can snapshot this virtual machine in time, and if things go completely Pete Tong, all I have to do is revert the snapshot, and all those changes that I'm now going to make are going to disappear. So we want to issue a sudo apt install. I'm just going to go back to my gcc 12 space lib gcc 12 lib gcc-12. It's -12-dev. And finally, we want to do build essentials. I'm just checking if that's build essential or build essentials. It is actually build essential -y. Effectively, that's don't prompt me, followed by enter, and I'm going to specify the password. And I actually basically put an S on the end there when I didn't mean to. That's my brain for you. So these are going to be required by the VMware Workstation Pro 17.6.2 bundle for Ubuntu. If we don't actually install these packages beforehand, then the installer is not going to run. Now, I think I downloaded it to downloads. And there's our bundle. One of the things I need to do is I need to basically add some permissions to it so that we can actually execute it. Okay, so it's now green, and I'm now basically going to, but I'm also going to basically just put a sudo in front of that so that we can actually basically install it. So that looks good. It's installing, extracting, copying files, installing VMware VMFX 17.6.2, and it has the packages to compile the drivers if it requires. That's why we've actually installed the build essentials. That's why we've installed the compiler, so that it can find those in the path. And if it actually basically needs to compile drivers, it has the ability to do that automatically. It does say that installation was successful. I did see a slight refresh here. It's not actually basically asked us to compile anything. So let's just go ahead and see if we can run it with no error. So I've just basically highlighted and clicked the application button, and you can see here we've got virtual network VMware Player. So VMware Player is actually included in VMware Workstation Pro, so you don't need to download it separately. If you want it, then just click VMware Workstation Pro download. So I'm now going to click VMware Workstation. I'm going to accept the license agreement, followed by next, followed by next. Would you like to check for an update on startup? I'll say yes. Yes, we'll join the customer improvement program. Okay, so it's actually basically wanting me to provide the sudo super user to authenticate, and that's it. So, we can now create a virtual machine, open a virtual machine, just like I've showed you in parts 1 to 8. So there you go. That was quite a quick and simple one on how we install VMware Workstation for Linux 17.6.2 on Ubuntu. And you can clearly see that I'm running VMware Workstation here. And this is our Linux machine that we created in part 1. And this is a VMware Workstation Pro 17.6.2 for Linux running in Ubuntu, which is also nested. But just quickly, I also just noticed as well that if we actually have a little look for VMware Player is also installed on our Windows 11 host as well. So back to that question where somebody was actually trying to download VMware Workstation 17 Player from Broadcom and getting a not entitled message. VMware Workstation 17 Player is actually included with VMware Workstation Pro. So if you want to use VMware Workstation 17 Player instead of VMware Workstation Pro, then you can do. Just download VMware Workstation Pro 17.6.2 and use that instead of using the VMware Workstation Pro. Anyway, thanks so much for watching another video from Hancock's VMware Half Hour. I will be back in the next video and show you how to install VMware vCenter Server 8.03, and maybe we'll actually install it just for shits and giggles in our Linux virtual machine. One of the things I'm going to have to do is to add another virtual disk to our host, virtual machine, because we'll need the space. You know, we're going to need at least 120 gig to 500 gig to install VMware vCenter Server 8.03. So if you want to see that, come back for that one. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed this video, then please thumbs up. If you don't like this video and you don't like it, then please thumb down. But please subscribe. And once again, thank you very much for watching. And I'm going to go and get espresso now. So anyway, thank you and goodbye.